Oh, 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 boom. Oh, it's a party. Welcome back to another video, team. Today, we're going to talk flashes. All right, I'm back. 20 days since my last video. I do apologize, but I've been really busy. The spring rush has come and I've been flat out. And like I've said in past videos, I only have so much creative energy to do my job as a photographer and make these videos, but here we go. So I want to talk about these flashes, and something I've noticed, there's a lot of people using this natural light photographer moniker, which to me is baffling. And to me, what it says is you're too lazy, or it all seems too hard to learn how to use a flash. If you want to be a professional photographer, you have to be able to use light of all types. Natural, artificial, everything. Constant light, strobe, flash, everything. So today, I just want to run over some flash talk and some different scenarios and how you would use the flash in these certain scenarios, and sort of teach you guys how simple it really is to use these bad boys, because it does not have to be complicated and it is not as scary as some of these natural light photographers make it out to be. No offense if that's you, and if you fair enough do just like shooting natural light, but you're leaving a lot of money on the table by not learning how to use artificial or flash, because there's so many jobs out there where it's required, where you could be making money and instead you're just sticking to your natural light thing. So the first use case or type of shooting with a flash I want to talk about is TTL. TTL literally stands for through the lens. Most of the time shooting TTL, you're going to be shooting on camera. Well, for me personally, on camera flash. So this flash is on top of my camera. I'm shooting TTL. So what's happening? The camera is connected to the flash. The camera is telling the flash how much light it needs to expose the scene properly. So the flash is receiving all your camera settings that the lens is seeing through the lens, and it's saying, okay, I need this much flash power to fill this scene based on the settings that my camera is at. All right, so here's an image from a recent charity event that I was shooting. Here on the left, we've got Lydia Brady. She was the first woman to ever summit Mount Everest without oxygen. And then Nadia Lim on this side, she's a famous New Zealand chef person. So anyway, as you can see here, this has been shot with flash, with TTL. So in this moment, you have 1 second to capture this shot. They stood there for literally 1 second, and this is where you have to be competent with your flashes, because these are the types of jobs where you might only get a second to quickly shoot a photo, and that's where TTL comes in, because it's doing all the work for you. You're not having to change settings or anything. It's basically automatic. You just lift your camera up, shoot it. Hopefully the flash will deliver the perfect amount of light like it has in this case, and you're away. This is a super dark room, as you can probably tell from the surroundings. And as you can see, perfect exposure, great photo. Like TTL has done its job perfectly there. So on to the next one. Same event, again, super dark, nighttime event. As you can see, I've used flash to illuminate my subject, and the background's sort of fallen off. And this is where, as you could imagine, if I wasn't shooting flash in this situation, she would just be a dark silhouette, because it's a super dark scene. And that's where the flash comes in. And these are the types of gigs where I mostly use on-camera flash and use TTL. And the flashes are on top of my camera. I'm using a diffuser like this one here, usually pointed straight up in the air. You do not want to be pointing your flash at your subject like that, because it will blow out the highlights. It'll blow out everything, even in TTL mode. So we shoot it like that. We use what we call bounce flash. So we use a diffuser, obviously, and we usually bounce the light off the ceiling. But that's a scenario where I run that on-camera flash setup, where I'm running and gunning, usually at like corporate events like that. I'm cruising around, there might be a red carpet sort of situation, and your flash is just on the camera. It's doing everything automatically. You don't have to worry about it. You know that each exposure is just going to nail how much flash you need, because the camera and the flash are talking. TTL, on camera TTL. Scenario number one. So scenario number two is off camera flash, where I'm using one of these, a transmitter, to tell my flash what to do remotely, basically. So this is one I shot earlier this week for a big nationwide billboard campaign for a political party. And as you can see here, you can see my softbox in the background. You can also see Ben holding a reflector, which he didn't actually use. We were just testing it out. But you can see where my softbox is positioned. You can see the transmitters on my camera. That transmitter is telling the flash how much light I want to pump in. So in this scenario, I'm not usually using TTL. I'm shooting manual flash. And as you'll see in this image, this is what we achieved. So that background was actually super backlit, but by using our flash in the right position and with the right settings to cut through that ambient light and illuminate our subject, we've achieved the look where our subject is perfectly lit and we've actually made that background a little bit darker. This is pretty much how it came out of camera with a slight bit of editing. And that was the brief, is they wanted a darker scene in the background, but with the subject popping out like that. So as you'll see, where I've got it positioned is to give me fill light. So we've got natural light on the left side of his face, and I've positioned it to fill that right side so we get even light across our subject. And as you'll see, like I said before, is that actual back wall was quite backlit. You can see there's actually a skylight above him. So by using flash in this scenario, we've managed to achieve the look that the brief wanted. And this is what we call off-camera flash. Again, I'm usually shooting with the flash on manual, and I'm adjusting my settings on the camera with the transmitter, and obviously adjusting my camera settings to suit the look that I'm going for, as well as the flash power for how much flash I need. So you'll see that same technique used in these headshots for a company earlier this year. So all we've had to do in this scenario is Photoshop out the reflection out of his glasses, because he did have glasses on. But you'll notice it's also a backlit scene in a dark sort of office, and we've achieved this look with flash, with just that same setup. The one flash and a big softbox triggered remotely off the camera. So we've used that fill flash to fill the side of his face that didn't have natural light on it. And this is sort of what it achieves. Again, another one, same look. We've still got that slight bit of light gradient on her face, but we've filled it nicely. And also, as you can see, it was a very backlit scene in a darker office. So by using that flash, we cut through that ambient light and we illuminate our subject. Again, here's another one, same company, different area. You know, nice natural posing, as you'll see. Like, this is corporate headshot 101 type thing, where it's friendly, it's inviting, but it's professional. And as you can see, same thing, nice even light. We've got that background a bit darker by cutting through that ambient light, and it's just illuminating our subject perfectly. So that's sort of the basics of off-camera flash. And sometimes I will run two flashes in softboxes on light stands, and I'll be firing them both from the transmitter on my camera. It just depends on the natural light available and the scenario that I'm working with. But that kind of gives you an idea of how I use off-camera flash and the type of scenarios where it does come in handy. So the third and final type of scenario with flash is what we call high-speed sync. Every camera has a maximum flash sync shutter speed. Most cameras, it's about 2/50th of a second. Some of the more high-end ones, like the Sony A1, I know go up to about 400th of a second. And if you want to shoot with a flash over that maximum flash sync shutter speed, it's quite the tongue twister, isn't it? Flash sync shutter speed. Then you have to go into what we call high-speed sync. Now, the issue with high-speed sync is it cuts down your flash power. It allows you to up your shutter speed above that to, let's say, whatever you need for action, as we'll see in these examples, but it takes away a lot of the flash power. So it sucks the flash power out of the flash, and you're just not going to get as much light out of it as you would by staying under that flash sync shutter speed. So as you'll see here in this example, whether you can tell or not, there's actually a flash down behind this in the skate bowl shooting up onto the subject. As you can see, he's actually nicely illuminated, and this is a good example of high-speed sync in use, because this was probably shot at 1/800th or 1/1000th of a second, but it's given me enough to illuminate that subject to sort of just make him pop a bit more. Another example, an action shot, and as you can see, the actual jump is coming off. You can see the flash on that, and it's the same concept. The flash is shooting up at him. It's at sunset, so it's quite a dark scene, but it's illuminating him enough and freezing the action. So we're using a high shutter speed to freeze the action, but then we're also getting that artificial light into the scene to illuminate our subject. And that's where high speed sync really plays a role. I've probably got a bunch of other examples somewhere for that one, but you get the idea. So the only real way to get around high speed sync, and it's only something that's become available in the last few years, and that is the global shutter. As we've seen in the A9 III, if you want to watch the video I did with it all about using flash and the A9 III with a global shutter, I'll put it up here wherever they go. And that'll give you an idea of what the global shutter allows you to do with flash. And essentially what it does is completely removes that flash sync shutter speed, and you can just run any shutter speed you want. So if you are shooting a lot of really fast action with artificial light, the A9 III is the tool for the job. That's really your only way around high speed sync. is that one singular camera that exists, or any other brands that have a global shutter, which I don't think any of the other companies have done it yet. Other than that, if you're shooting action and you need to freeze the motion and use light, you've got to use high-speed sync, which, as I explained, cuts out your flash power, so you just don't get as much juice out of your flash. So those are kind of 3 scenarios where I use flash. I definitely use no flash a lot more than I do use flash, but being able to use it and having that skill in your toolbox is where you can take those jobs where you might be shooting a corporate event, running around, you know, at a dinner or whatever, like some of the examples, and you can go, yeah, sure, because you're competent in your flash skills. Even if you're shooting on camera flash in TTL, like I said, it's basically all the work's done for you. It's all automatic. It's all about just having the confidence and knowing that you know how to use these things when you need to use them. So when you get asked to do a job that's going to require them, you go, sure, you know, let's do it, instead of going, oh, I only shoot natural light, blah, 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 blah. No offense if that's you, but that's how it sounds. And if you haven't shot with flashes or speed lights, it can take a bit of getting used to, and I do highly recommend, if you get one, spend the time tinkering with it, practicing with it, and figuring it out before you jump into trying to shoot something with it. Because if there's any piece of gear that will mess with you on a shoot and have you confused because it's not working, it'll be flashes and transmitters. So if you are going to jump into flash, practice with it. You know, just around home, dial it in, get a feel for it, figure out how it works, you know, what settings do what TTL is. Not all flashes are TTL too. You know, you have to actually buy specific ones that have TTL in them. Personally, I use the Godox flashes, and I do enjoy the V1s, sort of the high-end ones, because they have a built-in battery, so you don't have to run batteries in it. But it's all just personal preference. They all do the same job. It just depends how much you want to spend and what features you need. But like I said, if you need TTL, then make sure you get a TTL model, because they don't all have TTL. So that's just a bit of an example of how I use flash in a few different scenarios. Further down the track, the more sort of high-end stuff you shoot, the more you'll use them, because you do need that artificial light to sort of make your work pop and make scenes look different. And it's personal preference. Like I said, some people hate flash work, but if you do want your work to stand out and you want to be a professional, you have to be able to use all the tools of your profession. And using light is a big part of that. So don't be afraid of these. Don't be afraid of using flash and speed light. Don't just jump into the natural light thing and lose work because you refuse to learn how to use these. They are not that difficult. So I hope that explains something. If you've got any other questions in regards to shooting with flashes, chuck them in the comments. Like always, if you get some education from these videos, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. And yeah, get out there and shoot some flash, because it's part of the gig. Got to be able to use the tools of the trade, and these are part of it. So don't be afraid of them. And yeah, see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. I'll try bang them out regularly. I've just been busy. I apologize. I'm getting there, so hang with me. See you in the next video. Sure, flash time. Oh, 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 boom. Oh, it's a party. See ya.